We're here.
We're here. All right. Okay, we're here at 11:11:11, and that comes to 33. So we're going to be holding space for 22 minutes to head into the sacred 11 minutes of silence, or the psi lens, the focus of everything that we've been doing. To get us there, I want to work with our minds a little bit so that we understand we can not only feel ourselves aligning with the energy, but we know what it is that we're aligning to, what the 11:11:11 is really about. Why is 11 such a significant number? Why does it keep coming up? Why do you look at your clocks and see that it's exactly 11:11 or 1:11? Why does that happen over and over again? If you are conversant with some of the work that's being done in contemporary physics right now, you know that the leading edge ideas that are coming up are coming through a set of ideas called string theory. And the string theorists have come up with this really novel, creative idea that the universe is composed of tiny vibrating strings. All right, that is the state-of-the-art scientific opinion right now. It's what us hippies used to say back in the 60s. It's all vibes, man. That's what the universe is. It's composed of these vibes. Now, when string theory was putting together their system, they came up with 5 different systems, and they realized that they had to have 10 dimensions in order to put their system together. But they still came up with 5 different variations of string theory. So in order to bring those 5 variations together, they needed an 11th dimension. So we're back to that sacred number 11. So why 11? Well, first, let me talk a little bit about what a dimension is, and then I'm going to run through the numbers and the dimensions and how we get to the sacredness of the 11. All right, everybody here I know has a vivid imagination, so I know you can see me holding this sheet of paper right here. I've got it in my hand. You see me wagging it? Okay, good. All right. That's called a plane. It has length and width, 2 dimensions, but it doesn't have any depth. It's a 2-dimensional reality, all right? Now, in my other hand, I'm holding a pencil. And I'm going to push my pencil through the sheet of paper. Now let's pretend that we're all flatlanders. We're living in 2 dimensions. Our consciousness is in 2 dimensions. So what's going to happen when that pencil starts to go through? We will not see a pencil because we can't see the 3rd dimension that the pencil exists in. What we will see is a tiny black spot beginning to emerge in the center of our sheet or our plane. And that spot, that's the graphite. That will grow a little bit larger. And then it will change color to brown. That's the wood in the pencil. And then it will change color again to yellow. And that's the paint on the pencil. And you see that all happening. But that will be happening for us in time, not in space. Because we can't see above or below our flat plane. So that pencil is moving through. Maybe it's taking a long time going through. Maybe we exist very, very quickly, so that it's taking generations or even ages for that pencil to move through the paper. And so we are telling stories of the ancients about how when the gods used to appear as a tiny black spot, but now they become cylindrical and yellow. And that goes on for a long, long time, and then all of a sudden, yellow turns into bronze. And then a little later, the bronze turns into pink. That's the eraser, right? And then all of a sudden, the pencil is gone. And generations go by, and we have mythic stories about the time that the gods were present in their various colors in the midst of us. Only our leading thinkers are able to say, wait a minute, let me take those various stages in the story that all happened in time, and I think that might have been a pencil in 3 dimensions. Whoa! 2-dimensional reality has now shifted into 3-dimensional reality. All right? And time, okay, and here's the rule. For every n-dimensional level, for every n-dimensional being, time is always the next dimension. So we live in 3 dimensions of space. Einstein taught us that the fourth dimension is time, so we call it space-time. That's our four-dimensional existence. So what would a five-dimensional existence? People are talking about our consciousness is moving into the fifth dimension now. What would fifth-dimensional consciousness be like? We take our ideas of time, before and after, past and future, and we bring them into the present. Kurt Vonnegut, the science fiction novelist, wrote a story about some characters called Tralfamadorians. They were extraterrestrials, and when they looked at each other, what they saw was a being who had little tiny baby feet at one end and wrinkled old person's feet at the other end, right? So they saw the entire lifetime co-present, wound through itself. That's fifth dimensional consciousness. When you bring the past and the future into the present and you make it spatial, now you have four dimensions of space and one dimension of time. So, how do we get now to the sixth dimension? These Tralfamadorians regard each other, and they see that the way that they're wound through themselves is different than the way that other Tralfamadorians are wound through themselves. And so their consciousness begins to explore, what is the difference between me and you? How is the way you're wound together through your entire lifetime different than mine? And as the consciousness begins, that for them is time. That's their process of exploration now. And when they begin to understand that, they begin to move into the sixth dimension. And it continues through the seventh, the eighth, and the ninth. The seventh is when you start to understand the patterns of how it's wound, the way that it's wound through. The eighth dimension occurs when you see all the patterns. The ninth dimension occurs when you collapse the patterns and you go back to the beginning. The 10th dimension occurs when you start all over again in the face of realizing that nothing exists, and yet here I am. And the 11th dimension happens when we realize that each one of us is a universe unto in and of self. Each one of us is all of those possibilities, and every time we have a meeting with another one, when one meets a one and becomes two, we are starting over again. So let me run through the numbers. I want to show you how this works in numbers. One is a slash. First there was a zero, a nothingness. There ain't nothing there. And then suddenly something appears. That's one. But one has nothing to know itself by because it has no contrast. So that needs two. You have to have an other. When you come to the other, you have the meeting. When you have the meeting with the other, each one affects the other one. And when you affect each other, you create something new. So that becomes three. You have thesis, antithesis, synthesis, or more simply, you have mom, dad, and baby. Okay? You create three. But three is not going to cut it by itself, because if baby is left alone when mommy and daddy die, that's back to one again. So you have to have another child. You have mom, dad, daughter, son. Son and dad daughter make the next generation. Excuse my little glitch there. Well, perversity is part of it too. That's why it gets as complicated as it does. That's why universes don't just appear and go blissful and then disappear again. They get all wound up in some of the kinkier possibilities. But, so we'll go on. So now you have four. Four is the idea of structure. It's a quadratic set. Four is created by polarities which cross each other. Timekeeper, how are we doing?
It is 10:48.
10:48. Okay, got 12 more minutes. Good. I don't know where I am at all times. What are these intersecting polarities that create the number 4? You have one way of viewing the universe as being spiritual and another way of viewing it as being material. That's a primary polarity. Then you have a way of viewing the universe as being integrated or united, and the other way is of viewing it as being made of discrete things. Tiny, it's separation that makes a universe. It's all the things added up. So you have unity, plurality, and you have spirit, matter. Those are the two primary polarities. Where they intersect, they make the quadratic set that is the structures of the universe, of any universe. But where they intersect is a also a point that exists in that universe. That's the center of the universe, and it draws those possibilities back into unity. And what draws us back into unity is the feminine. So now we are coming from 4 to the number 5. 5 is the 5 points of extension of the female body, the 5-pointed star. 5 is the feminine. All right? Now we got the feminine, and the feminine is calling, and what it's calling for is the masculine. And so the masculine is generated in the number 6. 6 is sex. 6 is always sex. And if you look at a 6, and if you turn it on its side, whoa, you have the testicles and the penis coming out. Okay. So now we have the masculine and the feminine meeting each other at 5 and 6. And wow, what happened there? When 5 and 6 meet, you have 11. Whoa, now we're starting to get back to the core of our story. So 5 and 6, now the universe is being generated in all of its plural possibilities by sex, by the 11, which has emerged right there. And now consciousness says, what's this all about? Where did it come from? Where is it going? I'm the one, but the one what? The one everything. You know, where did I get here from? Where am I going? Why am I doing this? All those questions are the number 7. 7 is the number of inquiry, of quest, of question or quest I on. Question, you know, all the ways, all the things that I want to know about what can be, what could be, what should be, what might be, what has been, what will be, what's going on in alternate universes, that's involved in the number 7. 7 is always our number of spiritual seeking. And as we seek in all ways for all possibilities, seek and ye shall find. When you find, when you start to know all of these other possibilities for universes, for beings, for consciousness, they form into the 8, which is a Mobius strip or an eternity symbol. 8 is the number of completion of the universe. All things are there in eternity, EIGHT, to create the universe. 8. Form change happens within it, but the unity of all possible form changes is still contained in the number 8. So now we're at the end of the story. You can't go any further than everything, can you? Well, yeah, we have a number left. That's 9. What does 9 mean? Think of the German, N-E-I-N.
No.
9. No. 9 is the number of the end of the universe. 9 is a 6 in reverse. Yeah. Piss on this, right? You know, this universe didn't work the way I wanted it to. Let me take it back apart and start a new one. So, anyway, all of the little grains of sand that irritated us, that became the pearls of wisdom, that become our bliss and our art and our learning and our mathematics and our justice and all of the things that make life worthwhile for us on whatever plane of existence we're in. And the more comprehensive they are, the further dimensional experience we have, they're still all coming to a point where what we want is just the quiet, the silence. That's the 9. It's taking things apart in the reverse order to the way that they were put back together again. So 9 completes the numbers, and when 9 has finished its job of completing, so just as the 6 came out of that point and spiraled up and out, and you imagine that spiral and keep creating bigger and bigger and bigger picture, now 9 has pulled it back in to the point back at the center. The universe collapses, everything in it. All of the multiverse, all of the possibilities of different universes with different physical structures, with different star systems, with no stars at all, with different laws of science, all of the multiplicity of things going on, it's all ending right there. Whew! Nothing, gone again, 0. Zero. The universe is asleep now. Nothing's awake. Nothing's going on in it. And into that nothingness, what happens out of that nothingness?
What?
A 1 appears. Yes, 1 appears, right. 1, 0. We're now at 10. We're almost to 11. We're now at 10. When the 1 faces the 0, when we each individually face the realization that we are not going to continue. You know, we use the word dimension. You know, what does dimension mean? When was the last time somebody mentioned to you that you were going to die? That's dimension, right? You know, you're going to be torn apart. Everything that you are will cease to exist and move off into some other set of forms, right? So, that's where we are at 10. We're facing our own nothingness, that we're going to be and we're not going to be. In all ways and all possibilities, we see and seem, but we aren't. Both are and aren't. That's at 10. And then when we take a breath and we say, I can deal with that, then we meet another 1-to-1. We're at the 11. We're meeting another set of consciousness that has consolidated itself in such a way as to say, I will go through this even though it means not being. Even though it means whatever I create is going to be destroyed, I will risk doing this. And then those two meet together at the 11, and that's where we are. Okay? Timekeeper, where are we?
10:56.
10:55.
10:55. Well, good. Because there's one more thing that I want to talk about quickly. Because this is going to blow your minds. Get our minds blown is exactly where we want to be at the start of the 11:11. So when we talk about dimensions again, another rule for dimension, remember we had that one rule that time is always the next dimension. You can't go past 11. You can go into 12 and 13 and 14 dimensions, and I mean you can go into infinite numbers, but they all collapse back to the meeting of the 1 with the 1. So that's why you only need 11 dimensions to put the multiverse together, or the megaverse, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it. Beyond that, there isn't anything else that isn't the same thing as something we've already done. The other rule for moving from dimension to dimension is that when you go from one dimension to the next, you have to be able to draw a line at a 90-degree angle to all the preceding dimensions. Remember, we had our line, and then we have the plane, which is at 90 degrees to the line, first dimension to second dimension. Then you have a line at 90-degree angle to both of those, so we have this, then we have that, and now we have that. That creates our three-dimensional space. From the point, we see those lines extending. Now, to go into the four-dimensional space, we have to be able to draw a line from that central point that's going to be at 90-degree angles to all of those other lines. Try to do that in your minds. Just take a minute. It's going to make you nuts. You can't do it. And what will happen when you try to do it is you try to imagine a line at 90-degree angles to all those other lines. It will start wiggling around. All the other lines will start wiggling, and they'll all head back for the point that they came from. Because where that fourth line is called enfolded space. It's inside us. It's not outside us. Because we are living in three-dimensional reality right now, or three-dimensional space, the fourth dimension of space is folded inside us, and the fifth dimension is folded inside that. So what we're talking about is that in order to learn how to live at greater and greater levels of conscious inclusion, we have to take our outer world and pull it entirely inside ourselves and keep spiraling in deeper. Okay? Got it. Are we ready for the silence now?
Yep.
All right. Let's go in to the 11, 11, 11, 11, 11.
One more.